What's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to the first episode of Sittin and Sippin. I'm so excited to be able to make this introduction and bring this to you with my co-host, Chris Pelissier. What's up?
What's up?
I am Brandon West, and this is a series. This series is a platform for conversations about culture, arts, news, conversations about our lives, the fun and the serious. We hope that you find this entertaining, informative, that you see yourselves and each other in this. We're recording this live from our studio in the heart of San Francisco in the Tenderloin neighborhood, and I couldn't think of any better place to do it. I'm excited about the conversations that we'll be having every episode and the friends, the guests, experts in their areas that will be coming in to not just educate, but just to, relax, kick back, and sit and sip. So before we get into it, let's make sure we're taking care of the business of the house. Chris, what you sipping on? Ow!
Ooh, I just cracked open a Tecate, and I'm sipping on some Reposado Cazadores.
All right, the Reposado Cazadores is a good one. I'm sipping on the same thing because that's what we got in the fridge today. And, whether it's a glass of water, some hot tea, a juice, or an alcoholic beverage, grab something and sit and sip with us. So, this is also a platform that we're starting right now, which was really formed just with our time and to really think about what we're doing, right? Yeah. And with this time, we've been at home, a lot of us, and a lot is going on right now, as we know. We're going to get into that. But I want to just, be sure to acknowledge and let everyone know that you'll be able to find this podcast wherever you like to listen to podcasts, but it's also a part of a greater project that we're working on, Slow Dojo Media. Mm-hmm. Chris, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So Slow Dojo is we're working on our website right now, but basically it's a diverse collection of artists and content that we've curated from a diverse group of individuals. It's not a buzz feed. It's not something that's typically going to be mainstream, but it's something that's going to be entertaining, informative, and talk about some important issues. I guess what we're going to talk about today, it's brought to light a little bit of what Slow Dojo is going to become eventually, and where it's going to head.
So make sure, if we're already friends on Instagram or Facebook, go ahead and give us a follow and stay with us as we grow and learn and share.
Yes.
And on Twitter and on all of the social media platforms. You can find us at Slow Dojo.
Slow Dojo. There's a YouTube page. Nothing's on there at the moment, but that's going to change very soon.
Change takes time.
Change takes time.
Speaking of work and change and time, right now what's really important to us, really important to me, to go ahead and introduce Sittin and Sippin and get this podcast up and running. It's an idea that I've had for quite some time, and I'll give you the backstory. It's kind of funny of Sittin and Sippin some other day. But right now, America is having a reawakening of not being able to turn away from the horrors of white supremacy, police brutality, the endless slayings of Black Americans, especially Black men, the racism that Black and brown people have faced for too long, and right now we are here. Enough is enough. You don't get to look away anymore. It's in your face. You can't say that you didn't see it or you haven't heard about it. You're either going to choose to learn and educate yourself, or are you going to continue to turn a blind eye? It's time for activation, to put in the work, for change, to get uncomfortable, to educate yourselves. It's time to breathe in the truth and spread the news and do something about it. I have never really considered myself before an activist. I haven't ever really gone to a protest before all of this, to be completely honest. my idea and my thought process before um, the murder of George Floyd and the outpouring and the reaction and taking to the streets and calling for change and asking for that. Mine was just, living my life. I'll just be an example, or I will say what I mean through my music or my poetry with my band, through my relationships that I have. And for me, I just feel like that's not enough anymore. For me personally, I just need to be more active in more ways, not always protesting, because there's not any one right way to do things. But I do believe that however you do it, do something.
Yeah.
I could be more, I could be more on point with what I'm writing about and more direct in what I'm singing about, and also helping groups organize, donating, being a part of the marches, but also picking up the phone and making calls, voting, not only in general elections, but in local elections, and really expressing that I know for so long it's felt like votes don't count. But if we all get together and we do it, let's give it a try. Let's give it one try, that we all do it and see what happens. We can't sit down anymore. We can't be on the sidelines anymore. Do something. So we went to a couple of protests over the past week. We went to the solidarity protest for George Floyd on June 3rd, and we went to the Black Lives Matter protest on Golden Gate Bridge this past Saturday on June 6th. Why did we go to the protests?
Well, I mean, just kind of a response to what you were saying about, you haven't been to a protest before. I have. They've mostly been political protests. When George Bush was in office, I went to a couple in LA. But it was never, this isn't a political issue. And I think a lot of times people come away with this idea of like, we don't want to be political about this. This is a racial issue. This has been happening forever. I mean, Black people have been persecuted, murdered, cops don't get arrested, and that's why I think it's important. That's why I went, at least, to show my support and to just make myself humble too of the fact that this is a worldwide issue, and I think now more than ever the world is waking up and is responding to this racism and inequality. And I think we really need to continue that momentum.
Yeah. And I went because I feel like, I've lived this life as a Black man. I'm 34 years old now. And, with every year that passes and every day that passes, I just become more in tune with that Blackness. And, years ago, growing up in Texas and in certain times in my life in suburbs and in the majority, white environments and schools, I really sort of put a lot of myself to the side just to sort of get by, to really watch how I spoke and how I acted and what I was engaged in and entertained by. And, that fucked me up in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of things that I needed to
It shouldn't be a burden, and it should be a burden that anybody should have to work through.
So, in going to the protests now, to this past week and just seeing all this and allowing myself to feel and hurt and to also recognize like what I've been silent on and what I've let slide and what I let pass. It just was kind of like, I just need to be louder. I just want to be louder. I have a voice, I have a platform, and however small it may be, I've got one and I want to use it. And I got to get up out of bed and I've got to get out of this house and I've got to put my feet on the pavement. And I know that I'm not required to. I don't have to. It's the rest of the world that needs to do the work. It's white people that need to do the work. It's people that just silently just live in the society, the system that white supremacy has built that need to do the work. And I own where I'm at in that too. I want to educate myself. I want to be more vocal. I want to show up. And so for me, it was also just pain and anger and just not knowing what to say, not knowing what to do, and thinking about all the times that some acquaintances or friends of mine thought I was angry or reacted too loud or didn't like my tone because of a certain question or this, that, or the other. Within my mind, with what was actually going on, not in my mind, was just like, this shit is ridiculous. These questions are ridiculous. The fact that you don't see that I'm needing to explain this or don't to you when you could teach yourself. The fact that I'm constantly having to play a role just to look good and be thought of in a certain way in society is just so taxing, and it's just so exhausting.
Yeah.
That's why I went, and to pay respects and to say enough is enough for George Floyd. That was a murder. Breonna Taylor was murdered.
And to hold
Ahmaud
these
Arbery was murdered. So many other innocent lives and people, black people, were murdered.
It's like hold these motherfuckers accountable, And, 10,000 people showed up on the June 3rd. Over 10,000 people.
Over 10,000 people. That was one of the first counts.
It was Dolores Park, or Mission High School. We marched from Mission High School to the steps of the San Francisco courthouse on Bryant and 7th in San Francisco. And it was just, that was a very humbling experience for me personally, just knowing, how many people are in support of this and how many people are waking up.
We were talking about earlier, Rev Al Sharpton at the eulogy for George Floyd in Minneapolis, he said...
Minneapolis.
Thank you.
All right, are we ready for another shot here?
Yeah, go ahead and pour it up. But he said that, this is a different time. He was explaining an experience that he had back in the days of the civil rights era when, it's still continuing on, but whenever he was marching with Dr. King, an exchange that he had with a white woman then that struck him to his core. How he was at the airport and a young, maybe no more than 11 years old, he quipped, white girl tugged on his suit jacket, and he turned around and saw her and didn't know what to expect or what he was waiting for. And this young person just looked up at him and said, "No justice, no peace." This time is different, he said.
What did he experience? What did he like? He had talked about his previous experience.
So the previous experience was,
and what did that lady say?
I believe when he was marching on
like the 70s,
Selma or
60s.
Or I don't recall the time period exactly. I don't have it in front of me right now either. But at the eulogy for Brother Floyd, he recalled a time when they were activating and marching and protesting and speaking the word, and a white woman approached him and just said, "Nigger, go home." How fucking horrible is that? How complacent and complicit society has been for so long that this has gone on for as long as it has, and we just can't get it right. We can't address it and absorb it, and we got to get outside of the idea of just talking about racism and talk about the system and how it's built in. And that's information that I don't have all of that right now, but I'm learning. I know that you're learning. I know that we all need to learn
and talk about it.
and talk about it
and sip on it.
and sip on it and be about it. Show up and show out about it.
But I listened to that eulogy as well, and yeah, just that those were.
So why you just ask me what he said?
Well, because I can't say it.
Damn right you can't.
But this is another shot.
Okay.
But yeah, those were powerful. It was just a statement
Give me a
of
cup.
this is a different time, and I hope it is.
You got something.
All right, got some in there. Shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
This is a different time. Cheers to that.
yeah.
Excuse us, y'all. So I wanted to ask you, what was your takeaway from the protest? Sort of like, so we went, we felt,
Yeah.
you've been feeling, your eyes are being opened. I know you take this home too, and you talk about it with your partner. And I know it's becoming more of a conversation at people's dinner tables, especially, non-Black, non-POC dinner tables and living rooms. So beyond the protest, what is the takeaway for you?
Yeah, that's a question that I'm constantly thinking about. The takeaway from me was you can't always fucking listen. You can't always listen to how the media portrays these protests about, these looting, this violence. My takeaway from it was that, it made me very proud. It made me it's a sad time to be doing this. But the takeaway was it's okay to live in discomfort. It's okay to not live in the status quo, because the status quo is pretty screwed up at the moment.
Yes.
It made me very humble. It made me realize that we should all be supporting, Black-owned local businesses.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bigger issue that we need to fix in America. And even after I got home from those protests, going on social media, looking at like these comments from, CrossFit owners. I'm not going to say, well, I forget his name, but who fuck cares? But
to that point, you can say his name, and people's names need to be said when people are acting
Can't remember
up.
his name.
Well, we can look it up. You can look it up. It's in the news now. But anybody, any CEO, any owner, especially of popular businesses,
But
like
anybody
that,
who says they're not racist,
yeah,
they say they're saying these
Call
things.
those hoes out.
They're not understanding, and what we need to do is educate ourselves
mm-hmm.
and talk to our Black community
Mm-hmm.
and actually listen to them.
Yes,
They're not. I think as a society we've kind of viewed the Black community as this. We're always kind of, it's this racial prejudice that has been ingrained in all of our minds throughout the years in media, all this shit, and we need to get out of that. We need to start really investing in the Black community and allowing them a voice, because it's been far too long. And the fact that we're talking about this in 2020 is just baffling to me. Like,
it's downright ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. And so that was my takeaway. It was also very rewarding to just, to have people come out, even during a pandemic. I mean, there's COVID-19 happening. There's a lot of fear happening, but still tens of thousands of people were marching together. And we were, it was that important to where we are really, everyone's risking their lives in a sense, being out there.
Mm-hmm.
And for that to not matter at that moment and to actually focus on what is right and
Mm-hmm.
just was a very sombering moment for me.
Yeah. The most deadly virus that we are facing right now, that we have been living with and dealing with is racism
Yeah.
and the social construct of white supremacy, and we need to deal with that. So I think it's very important for us to get out there, and very important to remember your health. Remember yourselves. Remember to respect each other. Remember your mental health, your mental health, your mental
Yeah.
health.
There are testing facilities in place. If you go to any one of these marches,
Yes, I'm going to one in the morning.
go get tested, and just take care of yourself and shit. I mean,
Yeah. So we don't want to.
That shouldn't be the
let's not
cause
forget
for not to do that.
Let's not forget about ourselves. Let's not forget about our communities in any way. We need to make sure that we're still staying healthy. So if you're in the SF Bay Area, if you've been to a protest, let's go ahead and note that. Like, you can go and get tested. I know for a fact, because I live in San Francisco, that if you live in San Francisco, work in San Francisco, you can go and get tested for free. SF.gov has some locations.
SF.gov,
and I'm going to get tested, and there are drive-up locations and there are walk-up locations. I'm going to get tested at Pier 30 tomorrow. I know there's also a location in Soma off of 7th Street. So I think that we should, and we'll share this information too on the Slow Dojo Instagram, our personal social media accounts across those platforms. You know what they are. Just check us out, and if you need anything or if you have anything, share it with us, please. DM us, let us know. We can always be better. We can always know more. I wanted to also, there was talking about this subject and where we are in the moment. Ijeoma Olu, who is a Black American writer, she has a great interview piece on Vox. So you go to Vox.com and check that out. But she's talking about the racial justice moment we're in right now. And I want to just quote her. She says, "Be wary of anything that allows you to do something that isn't actually felt by people of color. I always ask myself when I'm trying to do solidarity work, can the people I'm in solidarity with actually feel this? Can they spend this? Can they eat this? Does this actually help them in any way? And if it doesn't, let it go." I encourage you all to go and read that interview with her on Vox.com. And again, her name is Ijeoma Olu. Follow her on Instagram. Follow her on Twitter. She's an American writer, a speaker, an activist, an educator. She has a book out that you should also read by the title of "So You Want to Talk About Race."
Can you spell out her name just in case?
Yeah, her name is spelled Ijeoma, last name Oluo. All right. Oh, so you were also going to talk about speaking about taking care of people's selves and how we can contribute and do things in different ways, organizations that we could donate to.
Black-owned businesses. Yeah. We're going to post some stuff. We're going to post we're being in San Francisco, the Bay Area. We're going to post some local Black-owned businesses, but I would ask everybody to do kind of their due diligence and look up businesses in their own area. Mm-hmm. So we'll post that up. We're going to post that up on Slow Dojo. Mm-hmm. And also we want also, I think you were talking about a group, I think SF New Deal.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to highlight that, while we're out here in these streets, we still need to eat. And, we're in the middle of a shutdown and it's moving on, and we still need to continue focusing on our communities, our Black-owned businesses, and making sure that we're taking care of home. So I encourage everyone to get on GoFundMe and see how they can contribute and where that can go, and also figure out where you can order out. I know a lot of us are cooking at home, but we still need to support these businesses. And SF New Deal, there are several, but this is one that I came across, and they have been really working with local businesses. Here, I think I have their website up here, and they state that their model actively responds to the COVID-19 crisis, and that small businesses in the city are facing overwhelming losses of revenue. So they're fostering long-term partnerships to provide business owners and workers with steady incomes and help the collective good. Residents for residents. It was organized by residents, and it is ran by volunteers. Every dollar you donate or hour you can volunteer makes an impact here in San Francisco. And even on their website, it's really transparent. So currently they have 85 restaurants participating. They've had over $2 million dispersed to small businesses, and they've had 235,642 meals delivered to people in need. This isn't just about just ordering and buying for yourself, but these are people that are working to get everybody that needs a meal. So I think it's important to continue to educate ourselves and to share that information with our friends and our family, to make sure that everybody's doing their part. Yeah,
I'm getting a little buzzed right now.
Well, the tequila.
I'm getting a little tipsy.
The tequila will do that to you.
I want more.
Listen. Now listen before you get all silly on me.
Okay.
I also want to say Happy Pride, and I want to say that that's important, and my blackness is not separate from my gayness, my queerness. And when we think about riots and we think about uprising, let's remember that we have to make our voices louder. We have to fight for what is right. Marsha P. Johnson, trans queer woman, family, was there at Stonewall, a part of that uprising, a part of that revolution when we said enough is enough. James Baldwin, a poet, a prophet, a writer, an intellectual, he was there, a queer man. He said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Bayard Rustin organized with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We're not just talking about this person or that person. We're talking about Black Lives Matter. Until we all understand that Black Lives Matter, don't come around me talking about all lives matter. We never said all lives didn't matter, but we're the ones being killed right now. And understand the Black LGBT community's contributions and the Black civil rights movement, inspiration for the gay movement and the gay liberation. If we're not all in this together, we'll forever be apart. So I want to thank you guys for listening to us today. This is Sittin' and Sippin'. And, we're going to have these serious conversations, and I know it's going to make some people uncomfortable, but that's okay. Let's get uncomfortable. Let's keep it real. Let's have some fun. Let's have some shots. Let's just
drink
get
while we're doing it.
into it. So I'm looking forward to, the next episodes that are coming up in the coming weeks. We'll be talking with some locals here in San Francisco. A good friend of mine that's been in the TL for over 30 years now. Don't you want to hear those stories? I know I do. Okay. Okay, now that's mine. You don't do no That's what I do. Okay. Thank you guys so much. This is Sittin' and Sippin'. We'll talk to you real soon. Cheers. Cheers. Let's get out of here.